some of you guys have been talking about Splinter Cell. People have been hyped up for Splinter Cell, wanting them to do something with the franchise for a while. And interesting little thing, the director of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell remake has officially left Ubisoft while it's still in development, which is never a good sign at all. And that's after 11 years with the company. Could be that he's retiring, but normally people retire after the end of their tenure, after the end of something that they're really proud of. To leave in the middle of development is strange. As reported by Video Games Chronicle, Dave Grivell announced on LinkedIn that he'd be moving on to a new adventure following more than a decade working at Ubisoft games like Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 5, and most recently the Splinter Cell remake. It's unclear how his departure will affect the remake's development at Ubisoft Toronto, but he appears to be leaving on good terms, meaning that Ubisoft likely had plans for his replacement in place, though the new director is yet to be announced. It could be like stuff with this. I talked about this with Jor Raptor in our little collab that we did. With this, it's very common in game development for people to just bounce around studios. The people who bounce around studios tend to climb the ladder the fastest. So what this guy's probably doing, like if he left the game director position here, he's probably leaving for another studio that's letting him direct his own game with a lot more freedom, not just a remake. So usually this would be something like, oh, I work at Ubisoft and I'm like the long-term, or like recently Fallout 76's game director left. So like he worked on Fallout 76. He created that game, headed that up. Of course, it ran into a lot of issues, but he leaves for another studio, not because he hates his current company, but because he's moving somewhere else and they're going to let him be like creative designer on like a very unique or very artsy or dark and interesting title. Maybe it's like Lies of P, something like that, where you've always wanted to work on a game like that, and now they're letting you go and work on that if you just move to Germany and do that. But they'll pay for your moving expenses and they'll do all of it. It makes sense why you would leave and do that. So this type of thing is extremely common. Yeah, bouncers, basically. It's extremely common. It's weirder to have somebody leave in the middle of development, but it's also a remake. So it's not quite the same as him leaving like in the middle of a new IP's development or something like that. For me, it's not as big of a deal, but it does signal that whatever was going on wasn't interesting enough for him to stay and see it through. Make of that what you will. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Hope all's well, Luke. It is going well. Hello. 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 Thank you. It's going well. Hope all is well with you. Also, they said they want to make Splinter Cell remake for a modern audience, so another Saints Row reboot situation. Dear God, hopefully not. Can you imagine? It's like Splinter Cell, but instead of killing people, you assassinate them with hugs, and then you just go up there. It's like when Sarcastable in South Park. Sarcastable. It's like, oh yeah, what if instead of touchdowns, everybody just hugs each other, and instead of padded armor that they wear out on the field, why don't we just have everybody wear padded bras and tinfoil hats to protect them against the radiation in the sky? Really? Do you really want to do that? Do you want to be the coach of the new Sarcastable League? Oh, yeah, I would love to be the head of the Sarcastable League. He ends up being the head of the league. Yeah, that would actually, I would probably play that if they just came out with Splinter Cell Sarcastable. That would be pretty funny.